All right, welcome to Beginner's Guide to Becoming a Conspiracy Theorist, okay? I'm going to quickly try and not take you down every rabbit hole that I'm aware of at least, but I will give you an introduction to it at least so you can do your own research and figure out what people are talking about when they mention certain things like Bohemian Grove or Operation Northwoods and all that stuff, all right? And stay around till the end because I'm going to give you homework at the end of the video, okay? And yeah, before I get into it, these are all just, my beliefs, okay? I don't say that I know all the facts. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm not an all-knowing being. I'm not a wizard, okay? But when you're young, like me, and you got a part-time job and you're doing college, you tend to kind of have a lot of free time on your hands, and I've dug into some deep rabbit holes, dude. Shit gets pretty deep and scary, and, like I said, this is all really just for entertainment purposes and stuff, all that, yada yada. So you should probably take most of what I say with a grain of salt because I guess I'm more on the believer side and a lot of stuff, if that's what you want to call it. But also, to be fair, it feels like we're running out of conspiracy theories, bro, because it feels like they're all coming true. It feels like they're all coming true at this point. So yeah, where do we even begin? All right, you're a newbie. You don't know anything. So let's just start with like some basic facts. The CIA, okay, they coined the term conspiracy theory. And that pretty much, they just label stuff like that, like things like 9/11, it gets labeled a conspiracy theory. And they coined that term. And I'm not saying they did that just because of 9/11. Shit, people have always been talking about crazy shit. But it seems like whenever people start catching on to, I guess, strange and questionable things, because we should all be allowed to ask questions, okay? Whether you believe the strict narrative that I guess the government gives you, it's up to you, whatever you want to believe. But I feel like you should always question things. But yeah, the CIA coined that term. And then flat earth, okay, is conspiracy theory. That gets mixed into the same shit as Jeffrey Epstein. Talking about a real set of documents versus flat earth. They both fall under the umbrella conspiracy theory. So obviously this shit can range pretty far. So I feel like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but I'm just going to say it all. I'm going to let it all fly. I'm past 15 seconds. Hopefully they do not give a fuck anymore. So let's just say you're a virgin conspiracy theorist. I feel like every virgin conspiracy theorist or whatever you want to call it, the person who doesn't know that much about what's going on, okay? I feel like the first thing that everyone figures out and starts to question is 9/11 because that's a recent event. And let's just be honest, there's a lot of weird, very strange and weird coincidences that is very hard to overlook. And I'll quickly gloss over them in a minute. But basically that's how it goes. People, they find out about 9/11, all right? And they find out about, let's just call it coincidences. And then they start to question, well, if that's kind of weird and fucked up, what else is weird and what else is fucked up? What else is not as it seems? But yeah, basically, I guess I'll just talk about the main points of 9/11. Now, I'm not going to say I know exactly what happened because nobody really does. Nobody knows exactly what happened. But apparently, I guess the official narrative is Al Qaeda attacked us, okay? And 2 planes flew into the towers, and there was like 4 or maybe even 5 planes. I don't even remember because there was one that nobody really talks about, I think, and there was a 5th plane. But yeah, dude, let's just get into it. And no, I don't have a script in front of me. I don't have anything helping me. I'm staring at a black screen right now, so I'm going to go off the dome. So, don't hate me if I'm wrong and you're really into this shit. Feel free to correct me in the comments or whatever, but, like I said, off the dome. So, what's the number one talking point people bring up about 9/11? Okay, so I guess there's the jet engine or whatever fuel heat. It can't heat up enough to melt steel beams. I don't know. I don't know the science. I don't know the facts. People say it could not have gotten hot enough to melt steel beams, okay? But, besides that, apparently it's hot enough for 2 planes to crash into a tower, 2 towers, I guess, and apparently steel beams are melting, and it got extremely hot. It's extremely, extremely hot. Like, you just got to listen to survivors talking about it. It was very hot. Explosions, steel beams, planes like getting fucked up, destroying, and basically that happens. There's this, and they find basically the hijackers, they find the passports of them like a mile down the road, 2 miles down the road. And I don't know all the science, like I said, but I don't think that the hijackers in the cockpit just threw their ID out the window before they crashed into the tower. Okay. And obviously, rest in peace, everybody in that, because I'm not trying to make a big show out of it and like get clicks. Genuinely, it is sad. There are people who have terrible stories. And honestly, that's the bad part about like all of the conspiracy stuff is the fact that a lot of it is just always surrounding very sad stuff, but with that being said, yeah, they find, I guess the passports 2 miles down the road, and I'm going kind of slow here, so I'll just speed things up. Basically 2 towers hit, the two World Trade Centers, okay? Nobody ever really, I mean, now people talk about it, but it seems like at the time, nobody was really questioning, like, why did a third building fall? Why was there a third building that fell that was not hit by a plane? And that building, what is inside of it is very interesting. It's like 50 stories of just pure government. There's so many like government, just different factions of the government in that fifth. I think it's called Tower 7. And basically, yeah, that collapsed. And, it gets kind of hard to pin down the minute details, but apparently they were airing that like on the news. The news was airing and saying like, yep, Tower 7 fell like 30 or 15 minutes before that tower even fell. And I'm not making that up. Just look into it and don't trust everything Google says because it has a narrative it is pushing. But yeah, I'm going kind of slow here and I'm dragging things out. So we're going to try to speed it up. So yeah, a coincidence is the owner of the tower. Okay. He says every morning he goes to the tower and he eats his breakfast every single morning. Like he's talking about it like he never misses a morning. And there's an interview. You can watch it. You should go look at it. But I guess the morning that 9/11 happened, he wasn't there. He had something else to do that his wife was nagging him about, and he just had to go, and he goes on some long rant. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, I don't know the time frame, but within probably a year before the towers fell, I think he asked for like some very weird insurance, terrorist something insurance or whatever, basically insurance claims to where if those towers get attacked by a terrorist, he's basically insured. He's going to get paid out. And I'm going to Google it right now. Oh, interesting. So he doesn't go the day that they fall when he goes every morning to eat breakfast and look out the window. And when they came down, he earned $4.6 billion at the same, like he was lucky enough to not go to the towers. But then, yeah, $4.6 billion was paid to him. So that's just interesting. Real quick, there was a lot of weird, what seems to be insider trading that happened a few weeks prior to towers falling. Apparently there is a very weird firefighter testimonies that the first floor looked like it literally got hit by a bomb. Like there was bombs that just went off. And like I said, I don't know all the physics, I don't know what happens, but I just don't think that's like what it would have looked like from the very first floor. Like sure, shit would have been shaking, but like for a bomb to go off and to look like there's like a fire on the first floor already, it's kind of weird. I just don't get how that happens. But so also, a big talking point is George Bush was basically reading a story to kids while it happened. And Pete, there was a lot of talking about it. Basically, you should just look at the video when he was informed and just find the whole video uncut and just make up your own mind. It's kind of weird. So also, apparently when the towers were constructed, not apparently, it's just factually, they contained a lot of asbestos. And now basically, if you don't know what this is something they used very common back then to build buildings and houses and stuff and put in the walls or whatever. And then, skip forward, they figure out, asbestos are really bad for us. And so apparently there's an order or some shit to where like, all the asbestos in the towers are going to have to be like taken out. We got to replace it pretty much by this deadline. And we got to have like new material or whatever, new walls. Basically, we got to get rid of the asbestos because everybody in the towers are like getting poisoned. And that happens. And then what seems to be like not so shortly after, they fall, which, and then, he gets paid out all this money, the owner of the towers. But then, it just seems very convenient that this happened. And then America, all of a sudden, we're going to the Middle East, something that they have apparently already had orders on, something they were already looking forward to. But now 9/11 happens and they blame it on these terrorists. And now everybody is like, oh, yeah, get those terrorists, because obviously if they actually attacked, we're going to want to have some sort of like backlash. We don't want to just let ourselves get attacked. But it's just very convenient a very convenient way to get the public, I guess, on the side of that. Not to mention the dancing Israelis. That's a real set of documents. Basically, Israeli citizens that were there who witnessed the towers fall. They weren't in the towers. They were like some street nearby or some shit. They saw it fall, and then it seemed like, I guess, people who saw the Israelis started dancing, and they were saying they looked happy, and they were thought to be like, I don't know exactly. They were thought to be like co-conspirators or some shit. And it's a real set of documents. It's just a very weird thing that happened. But there's probably some shit that I'm like leaving out, but I want to go to the Pentagon, bro, because that was a target. During 9/11 is the Pentagon, and they hit a 9/11. And let's just give you some pretext, okay? So a few days before the towers fell, whoever it was, I forgot, bro, but basically the Pentagon, they come out and they pretty much say, so guys, we don't know where $2.2 trillion went. We had all this money. It's just unaccounted for. We're not sure where it's at, But we're gonna work on it. We're gonna make sure we can handle your money better in the future. Give it a day or 2 days times, and then the towers fall. And everybody seems to forget about the $2.2 trillion that went missing, apparently, according to the Pentagon. That's just, they came out and said that. And so, yeah, the Pentagon seemed to be an attack, I guess, of 9/11. And I guess the official narrative story is, yeah, a plane flew into the Pentagon and hit it. So my actual belief is there was no plane that hit the Pentagon because, for one, there was no jet engines that were found when it was hit. Not to mention the Pentagon. We had cameras, obviously, in that time. It's one of the most, like, surveillanced places, and there's just apparently no, like, actual footage of the plane going into the tower. But interestingly enough, the Pentagon was hit right in the department where they were investigating the $2 trillion that went missing. They had a department investigating it, and that is the exact part of the Pentagon that got hit. And now, just forget about it. $2 trillion, it's done for now. We don't have any more documents on it. We can't. It's impossible for us to track this money. Just a very strange coincidence, to be honest. But yeah, there's more shit that I could probably talk about, but I just can't remember at the moment. So let's just move on to the next one, bro. So, dude, I don't even know how to organize this video. Let's just get into it. So, what are some other rabbit holes you could look into? Operation Northwoods. This is also probably one of the main things that raises people's questions about 9/11 is, did our government attack herself? That's basically the main question. Did we do that, or was that actually the act of a terrorist? Well, Operation Northwoods is basically, here we go, bro. I just Googled it for you. Operation Northwoods was a 1962 U.S. Department of Defense plan proposing CIA staged attacks of terrorism. Let me say that again. CIA staged attacks of terrorism, including hijacking planes, sinking ships, and bombing cities to falsely blame the Cubans, to falsely blame Cuba and justify a military invasion. Well, that's interesting. Basically, to tell you what happened there is, yeah, that was a plan that they proposed just to do. That was something they proposed, I guess, to John F. Kennedy, okay? And apparently that was on his desk, and that was something that he just had to sign off on. And then, wow, we're going to start bombing cities. We're gonna hijack planes. We're gonna sink ships, and we're gonna say, oh, the Cubans did it, because obviously everybody knows about the Cuban Missile Crisis or whatever. If you don't, whatever, history. Okay, people act like this shit is like ancient history. If you're like around my age, or if you're almost 20 or whatever, your grandparents, they're 70, okay? They were born sometime in the 50s. They could have been 10 years old. Depending on where they lived, they could have been a victim of this attack. They could have been bombed, and then our government could have bombed them, and then they could have said, "Oh, the Cubans did it. Now we got to go to Cuba and fuck them up." And people will not believe this shit. Just Google it, bro. Like, it's actually, like, it's right here. It's a real set of documents that came out. There's a lot of conspiracy shit involving JFK and who killed him. You should definitely look into that. We're going to talk about it a little bit more in a minute. But yeah, basically, they proposed that to John F. Kennedy, and he was like, we're not fucking doing this. Like, fuck no, we're not doing this. And then he put it on blast, and I think he just told everybody, like, this is a plan they had. And so, yeah, John F. Kennedy was very much against the CIA. He was very much against Israel. And yeah, we're done with Operation Northwoods. It runs deeper than that. You should look into it yourself. But yeah, I want to talk about JFK. So he was very much against, and you can just search up clips of him saying shit or whatever, audio tapes. He was against the CIA. He's against Israel. He's against, just listen to some of his speeches. He's literally talking about like secret organizations with weird power, with weird stuff. Basically, the whole thing with him is he did not want Israel to get nukes because they were trying to get nukes. And he was, and I don't know all the exact timeline and stuff. Like I said, you should look into it yourself, but this is all very real. So AIPAC, I think it went by a different name at the time. If you don't know AIPAC, it's the Israeli lobby tour. It's basically Israel's way of flooding money into politicians to get them to vote or make decisions on behalf of Israel. It's called AIPAC. Very real thing. Look into it. But the interesting thing with AIPAC is they do not have to register under the Foreign Act or whatever it's called. That basically, if China were to try and lobby our politicians, they would have to register. Like, yeah, we're a foreign nation lobbying you. Like, we have our own intentions, like, and it's China's intentions, obviously. Okay, but Israel doesn't have to abide by those rules. They are the only foreign country who doesn't have to register as a foreign lobby, to put it simply. And JFK, he wanted that to happen. Okay, and he also, like I said, he wanted to go. So this actually happened. He sent people, or whatever, sent team, whatever, however it works. He sent people to Israel, okay, to look at their nuclear sites and be like, hey, we want full like control over what the fuck you're doing with your nukes, because this is a whole time with like Cold War, we got nukes, Russia got nukes, we're being careful who the fuck has nukes, and we're like, hey, Israel, we don't really want you having nukes. And if you are going to have nukes, JFK's words pretty much are like, if you're going to have nukes, we pretty much want like full knowledge of what you're doing with them, full control, all this shit. And so he sends people there to look at them. And apparently Israel had set up fake nuclear sites or fake nuclear places and showed it to him, while they had the real nuclear thing going on somewhere else, like behind the scenes. And they didn't, and basically all that shit. And, give it some time. JFK gets assassinated, okay, in Dallas. He gets shot in like the back of the head. There's a lot of stuff surrounding that. There's the magic bullet. Basically, to tell you simply, the guy who shot him said, I am just a patsy. If you don't know what that is, it's basically like, I'm the fall guy. He said that. The guy who shot him said, I am just the fall guy. And give it like a week or a few days, while he's in custody somewhere, being transferred somewhere to be questioned, some guy in the crowd just comes up and shoots him. So a guy shoots the president, says, I'm the fall guy, and then the fall guy gets shot by some other fucking guy. It's a very weird turn of events, because the official narrative is Lee Harvey Oswald, the guy who shot him, acted alone. Okay, he acted alone, and that's supposed to be the narrative. JFK documents are a real set of documents, and like I said, all the shit you need to look into on your own, because I don't have the time. But yeah, very weird things surrounding his death and his assassination. But basically, he's trying to get Israel to register under this Foreign Lobby Act or whatever. He gets shot, and it's like a miracle for Israel, because now they don't have to register under this act. And so even today, it's still a consequence that they do not have to register under the Foreign Lobby Act, and they don't get to play by the same rules every other foreign country gets to play to. Oh, and not to mention, they're pretty much free now, because they can just get all the nukes they wanted now at this point. So, just very weird shit going on in the 60s. And around this time, and I think even sooner before that, let's dive into MK Ultra a little bit. Now, I don't have all the information, because apparently the majority of the files on MK Ultra were just destroyed, but this is just to give you a little bit of an insight of kind of like CIA in conspiracy terms. They're like the bad guys, bro. I want to do a quick rundown of MK Ultra. I don't know all there is to know about it. Basically, simply put, it is an operation, I guess, run by CIA, and scientists and top people at the CIA. Is it's mind control. They were, I guess, I don't know exactly where they got the people. I don't know if they just kidnapped them or what, but they got people. They all kinds of different like methods on trying to mind control somebody, and they wanted to mind control somebody, and it even got to the point. There's like operation, like maybe Bluebird, or maybe it's something else, but there's so many operations. But MK Ultra is supposed to be the main mind control one. There are like splinter operations that revolve around that, but the main idea is like, yeah, they wanted to mind control somebody. And one thing they really interesting wanted to accomplish, which is very weird, is they wanted, and this is all real, just look it up, dude. One of the interesting things in my eyes that they really wanted to do is they wanted to make somebody, basically, like, they wanted to make Captain America, or not even Captain. They wanted to make Bucky, like, for real. They wanted to make somebody who could go assassinate somebody, like, perfectly, and then have no memory of doing it because they were on drugs or some shit, and basically, like, they would do this assassination and they don't even remember doing it. Very weird stuff. And also, CIA is involved in a lot of coups and like just surrounding nations, particularly like the Middle Americas and the Southern America countries. So that's another thing you should look into. But yeah, they wanted to do mind control, and the methods were just extreme torture, see if they could just basically break a person. So at the end of the day, they were really just torturing people for no reason, because it seems like they really didn't succeed in mind controlling people. But flooding people with drugs, flooding just straight up victims. There were victim testimonies and stuff. And then it even got as far as to where they would put, unknowingly, they would put members of the CIA on drugs. They would just put them on like LSD, like put it in their food or their water or some shit. And they would put their own members of the CIA on drugs for literally months at a time. Some people were not even knowing that they were on LSD for like 70 days. And basically the CIA is like secretly trying to figure out like what's going to happen, basically. Just very weird shit. So yeah, honestly, those are like some of the big three. There's a lot of stuff. I'm going to try and wrap it up a little bit. So I'm going to like spur off like some different stuff. So real quick, I want to talk about Project Bluebeam. Now Google, I just searched it up. It says Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory. But from my understanding, there's a real set of documents that this was actually a plan. So basically, Project Bluebeam is a mid-90s, which alleges that NASA and the United Nations are collaborating to stage a fake technological supernatural event to usher in a new world order. So in simple terms, I don't know how they were going to do it. They were basically going to stage like, oh, here comes aliens or some shit. Like people are going to look up and see a big, it's called Project Bluebeam for a reason. Like they were just going to see like whatever the fuck they see in the sky, and people are going to like freak out. Like, what the fuck do we do against the aliens? And people are freaking out. It's like crazy. And then basically all the governments, or some of the governments, big parts of the big governments, whatever, apparently the goal is like, now everybody's scared of these fucking fake aliens. Let's just become one nation. Let's become one government and just tell them what to do, how to like be very weird stuff. Very weird. Apparently, Google says it's strictly a conspiracy theory, I guess. But to my understanding, this is real. There was real talks about it, real documents about it. Very weird stuff. But yeah, dude, shit gets pretty deep and weird and scary. So just be careful what you look into. Some modern kind of not really conspiracy theories is, like I said, Jeffrey Epstein. The whole thing gets classified almost under a conspiracy theory, even the whole shit is real. My belief, and what I just honestly think I know to be true, is that, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein was working for Israel. It's a whole blackmail operation. But yeah, even like 10 years ago, Pizzagate gets written off as a conspiracy theory. But just like look into it, bro. Look at the way that top leaders of the free world, I guess, are talking about eating cheese pizza. It sounds really stupid on the surface, but it's something you kind of just have to see for yourself, and just very weird stuff. And there's a whole joke that Obama's gay and his wife's a man, but apparently his wife voted as a man until 2008. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what honestly, that's what I believe, dude. I'm not even gonna lie, I believe that because it came from somebody who I think to be credible at the time when I was watching the video. So, and then like you look into it and you see like the weird way Google tries to like dodge shit that you ask. It gets very weird, but I'm a pretty big skeptic. So, but like I said, I'm trying to stick to stuff that is mostly pretty much true in this video. And if you haven't noticed already, that a lot of the things I'm talking about, conspiracy theories, are really just a real set of documents. There are the JFK files. There are the Martin Luther King files. Like the CIA was like at a secret war with him almost. There are the MK Ultra files. There is Operation Northwoods. And it's like, dude, this is not fake stuff. You can't just say that when it's literally stuff that the government has written on paper and has released to the public. You can't just write that off as fake and shit. It just doesn't make sense. I made a video about this already as well, but the fact that they were launching nukes into the atmosphere, which is just like very, like, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, I'm starting to get a headache and my voice is getting dry because I made a video before this. So we're going to try and wrap it up, I guess. Like I said, there's more shit I want to talk about, but yeah, I guess I'll just give you homework, bro, if you really want to like start like looking into stuff. So yeah, if stuff you want to look into JFK, look into his assassination, look into all the stuff surrounding it. It's very weird, and people act like it's ancient history. It's really not. Like your fucking grandparents or whatever, or if you are a grandparent, you were like 50 or not 50. Sorry, you were born in the 50s. You were like 10 when this shit's going on, like 15 when this stuff's going on. It's not that ancient. But yeah, homework, bro. I have actual real homework in a minute. Like, I'm just kind of giving you stuff that you could go on your own. So yeah, look at Pizzagate, look at MK Ultra, look at all the Project Bluebird, they have a lot of weird names. Look into the USS Liberty. Holy fuck. It's crazy, dude. USS Liberty, for real. Look into that. Now, if you want to be told exactly what to watch, I don't know. I'm not going to link it, but it's going to be hard for you to find it almost. But so Joe Rogan has done 3 episodes with Alex Jones. One of them is available on YouTube. The other 2 got taken down. Now, I know people hear the name Alex Jones and think like, oh, fuck no. Forget it, dude. Honestly, I look at Alex Jones today and I think he's low-key off the fucking rails. I think he probably went crazy at some point. But back in the day when he was doing this podcast with Joe Rogan, I think he was like, it seems just I think you should hear him out and do your own research and just see like what he's saying, okay, and just hear him out. And so basically, yeah, I have 12 hours of homework for you if you want to look into this. Go on rumble.com, okay, and just search up Joe Rogan episode Alex Jones and like try to find them. There should be 2 on there. There's probably all 3 of them, but like I said, one you can find on YouTube and the other 2 are on Rumble, and it's just random ass people uploading it, and you should watch it. And put together, it's probably like 12 or 13 hours, and I've listened to the whole thing, and there's just a lot of stuff that I think would, if this video interests you or anything like that, I think those podcasts would interest you a lot because they're like 3-4 hours each. And so yeah, for real, like I'm telling you exactly what to do. Go on rumble.com and try to watch them in order. I think it just helps a little bit because this guy's talking about Jeffrey Epstein fucking 10-15 years ago, talking about 9/11 literally before it happened. shit like that. Okay. So yeah, type in rumble.com, Joe Rogan Experience Alex Jones, or Joe Rogan Alex Jones episode, whatever. And if you search on Google, it will tell you the episode number. You can type in the episode number in Rumble and it should help you find it. There should be full, literally unedited, uncut clips, stuff like that. So yeah, there's that. Another person that you should definitely watch if you like all this stuff, there is The Conspiracy Files on YouTube. Okay, the Conspiracy Files. I think he is a very good. Bro, I didn't even talk about Bohemian Grove, dude. Oh, fuck it. Look into Bohemian Grove. Fuck it, dude. I don't care. Look into Israeli tunnels, or maybe not Israel. Look into like Jew tunnels, New York. As crazy as that fucking sounds. But yeah, look at The Conspiracy Files on YouTube. Look at Oompville. He's like a weird, he's kind of a weird fellow, but he talks about a lot of stuff like that. Search up like America coups and like South America and Middle America or Central America, whatever. And yeah, dude, that's like the homework I got for you, bro. If you really want to like look into stuff, and I'm not gonna say I guess figure out, but just like I said, bro, beginner's guide to being a conspiracy theorist or whatever the fuck you want to call it at this point. So yeah, for real. I probably talked about too much shit for this video to not get like age restricted or something. So like if you actually found this video and you watched it all the way till now and you enjoyed or you're interested or whatever, actually please consider subscribing, because that will give me a message that I should actually make more videos like this. I don't normally make videos like this and I don't normally ask for subs, but for real, like a video like fucking almost 30 minutes long at this point, like yeah, I would like to know a little bit of feedback, okay? And if you want to come in here and call me crazy in the comment sections, you're welcome to do that. I don't really fucking care. And you know, I would say look into the moon landing, but honestly, it's like at this point nobody even fucking knows. My belief is I think we went to the moon, but I don't think that the footage you saw is real, because you can't take the tape through the radiation without it getting spots and without it getting fucked up, and then also somehow having the technology to like do it all live. But the moon is not that far, bro. My car could drive to the moon, because 270,000 miles is not that far, bro. I've had cars with more miles than that. All right, at least my girlfriend's car had like 300,000 miles, so she could have drove to the moon. But yeah, hopefully I covered like a nice, decent, broad spectrum of things. And honestly, now I'm kind of just drawing out the ending. So yeah, I'm for real. I'm going to peace out this time, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.